Good morning, everybody. All right, Anastasia, I will be, if I do well today, I will be making the announcement at the end, just so you know. Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. So we're moving off the last couple of classes. I've checked in with a couple of you, and I was like, "So, how you doing? Like, are you understanding anything?" And some people were like, well, not exactly. Um, I have to think about it. Um, and this is hard. I mean, there's a reason why this is ACI 15 and not ACI 1, right? Um, so, first of all, it's okay. It's okay if you don't understand it the first time. I didn't understand it the first time or the second time. Um, and there's certain aspects about the mind only school that are difficult and challenging to really grasp as a complete worldview. So the idea really behind doing all of this work, like racking our brains, struggling, trying to figure out what the heck are they really trying to say, is to take the moment to really, it helps us clarify our own understanding of emptiness, our own understanding of dependent origination. How does it work? How doesn't it work? Where do we get stuck? And the first couple times through the material, difficulties can arise because you yourself are clarifying for you what emptiness is and what emptiness is not. So if you're finding yourself like, you know, making faces, struggling, it's good. It's designed to do that. Like the educational system in Tibet was not designed to give you the answers. It was designed for you to come to the answers yourself. Laura, could you check your microphone? There's something going on. Barbara is saying there's something. Se corta algo así. Um, so it's clarifying, it's cleaning, you know, it's cleaning your mind, it's cleaning your heart. And so, it's okay, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I hate cleaning the toilet. Like, you clean it and then like there's like, sometimes like the calcium or lime in the water sticks to the toilet and it looks dirty, but it's not dirty, right? And you gotta like you gotta work hard to clean that up, right? And that's what we're doing with our mind. Like we're working hard to clean up. I'm sorry, this is such a bad example. I don't know why I thought of it. Um, the cleaning up the toilet bowl of our own mind. Okay. No one likes to do it, right? But that's right. You need some good. Yes, very important for any bathroom is a high quality poop spray, right? So you make it fresh for the next person, right? That's what we're doing with our mind. We're trying to make our mind fresh for the next moment. Like, are we seeing things correctly? Are we seeing things incorrectly? Right. And that becomes it's a challenge, right? It's a big, it's difficult. It's not easy. And so working through the mind only understanding of emptiness, when if you're in a good mood, playing good music, right? It's easier, really. It's really easier. But it's okay to struggle. If you don't get it, that's okay. Because there's something in you that's resisting it, right? Because actually what happens in my view, my understanding as a in the sort of process of it all, um, is that the mind only school forces you to start seeing how you're just talking around all day long. It forces you to see what you're seeing is being made up by you. Now, made up not in this like conscious way where you're like, I'm gonna see my nephew tomorrow. He's 3, 4 years old, and he likes to play pretend. And so he creates these elaborate stories with characters, and he tells you to be a character in the story. And if you don't follow if you don't follow the rules of his game, he gets mad. Right? He's 3, he's 4, fine. Right? You know, that's playing pretend. That's like, okay, I'll be the fireman, you know. I'll be the trash truck, right? I gotta walk around like a trash truck when he throws trash at me, right? Whatever game he plays. It's not like that. It's not like, you're consciously playing pretend, right? But what we're doing with Kuntox is that we are like there is a kind of, it's uncontrolled illusion. It's uncontrolled, you know, constructing of the world that you see, right? Yes, there's a world out there doing world things, but then you're putting names and labels onto it, right? Don't worry about all the other stuff. All you need to worry about is how you are constructing things, right? And then if and then what happens, and this is what happens to a lot of us, is when we start recognizing this, we recognize how much we're fighting our own constructs, right? We're fighting our own, we're fighting the constructs of ourselves and we're fighting the constructs of others, right? When you have a disagreement with someone or someone understands one thing and you meant something else by the same words, and you go, I can't believe you didn't understand what I meant. Did they not understand you? Well, that's a construct. The misunderstanding is the construct. You have a construct of somebody who's constructing a misunderstanding. So whose fault is it? Right? So then you're fighting your pretend world, right? And pretend in the sense of constructed, right? You know, and we start to see, you know, how this plays out in interpersonal relationships, how it plays out in our own reaction to things. How are you reacting to someone? How are you reacting to a misunderstanding? Right. then you have to look at, well, why do I have that construct? Well, then you go into, well, I have the seeds for that construct. Okay. Right. And so then it becomes a question of, how do you want to keep, do you just want to keep creating that, or do you want to create something different? And that's where it gets, that's where the how do I say it? That's how this gets difficult. And that's why we go, just why we respond, oh, I don't understand this. Like, well, of course you don't understand it, because your mind doesn't want to understand that it's responsible. And it's not that you're a bad person, that you that you like struggle, right? You're actually a good person because you're struggling, right? So that's you're good. Like, stop beating yourself up when things don't go the way that you expect them to go, right? Or that your world is collapsing, or you know on small levels and large levels. Like, in my country, we're not allowed to, if you speak up against the government, you get canceled now. You get fired, you lose your job. That's just the first step towards, it's just the first step towards, an authoritarian government, right? Just study history. Don't say it, right? Just study history. All it takes is 5 minutes for someone to study history, and you can see the patterns. The Abhidharma talks about this. Okay. So do I get up on stage? Do I start writing editorials? Do I start like trying to get people to understand that this is a historical pattern that will repeat again, right? I was I was like, well, maybe I should get a passport somewhere else. You know, I could get a passport in Poland, yay. But is Poland safe? Right? Like, I don't know. Like, what? What's safe? Where's safe? Let me ask you that question. Where is safe? Yeah, I'm actually about 15 minutes from, I'm in Washington, D.C. right now. 15 minutes from all the action, right? Right? Are you safe anywhere? Right? Well, yes or no. What we know, so I think for us, it's like, I've had lots of questions from people about, like, Tim, we've been doing all the things that you've been saying. We've been doing all the things that Geshe Michael's been saying, but we still live in war, right? Like, well, how do we change that? Like, I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of my constructs. I'm getting tired of my seeds. Like, I can't stop them, you know? So, you know, that's it's also a construct of the fact that your seeds won't change, is also a construct too. Okay. And that's, you know, and we're going to talk about it a bit today, but, we have, samsara is samsara. It will start, it will, and continue, but things start and things end and within it. So what is that product? All good things come to an end. Is that a catch up? Hold on. There's a marketing thing. I can't. Oh, it doesn't really matter. But anything, anyway, point is, all good things come to an end. I think it's about a ketchup bottle. Like, you squeeze the ketchup and all the ketchup comes out, and then the bottle's empty. Um, good things start, good things end. Bad things start, bad things end. You know, and if you look at historical cycles, that's true. It just sucks when you're in a historical cycle where bad things are getting better and good things are getting worse. But I think it's also comes down to, you know, how we treat each other, and that's like, how do we treat each other in construct conflict? Ha, that's a good t-shirt. Construct conflict, right? How do we treat each other in that, right? I've gone to countries that have just come out of dictatorships, and the people are the kindest people I've ever met. I've gone to two countries who had just come out. Okay. Like, the people were kind to each other. Governments weren't, but that's, why do we have governments that treat people that way? I don't know. But conflict is, it's a construct within us, right? And how do we react to it? And it's really a matter of, in my view, is like, how do you maintain kindness with other people? Like, oh, your construct hurts. I know. I know you're in pain. Like, I know there's fear there. I know there's fear there. Whatever side you fall on, like, there's fear. There's a deep, deep fear of losing something. So what do is we construct our constructs to be permanent fixtures. We build effigies to them. And then those effigies fall eventually, right? Unfortunately, but they get built first, and then they can't maintain themselves. All constructs come down eventually, right? So really, I think this whole class is really about, how do we treat each other in it, right? Some things are just too large. You know, seeds have already come out of the ground. Like, what do I do? Like, do am I like, oh, I'm the executive director of ACI. I've been a practitioner for, 15 years of billions of lifetimes. Okay. Do I expect things are going to change in 15 years? I mean, it's possible, but things come and go. You know, where does kindness go? Do you lose your kindness? Like, do you lose the care for other people when everything seems to fall apart? Right. So you lose kindness for yourself. You know, my godfather passed 2 weeks ago, and I've been talking to some people, and he, for the last 2 or 3 years of his life, he was almost destroyed because he felt like he was a burden to everybody. He felt like, I can't do the things I used to do. I need people to help me, right? And I don't think like, the impression I got was he didn't want to live anymore. He was like, I can't do this to people. Like, he was a radio announcer for the Voice of America. He was, you know, highly involved in a lot of great, you know, social service work. He traveled the world. You know, you go to his house and it's covered in books. It is like, the guy is a library, right? We were also talking about him, like, he didn't really talk with Tony. Tony talked to you. He talked to you in his radio voice, and he would tell you things. And he has such cool things to say, right? But he couldn't handle the change, right? And a part of living is also learning how to die too, you see. So again, but those are constructs. Like, how are you viewing your own demise of your body? you see. So that's why we're studying all this. It's not just about, you know, it's not just about a lower view of emptiness. It's understanding in ourselves to get to a higher view. How do we understand how the world is for ourselves? And then how do we interact with each other? Do we interact with each other with kindness, or do we interact with each other in conflict? Right. And it really sucks when you're not getting your own way, when you're not feeling well and things aren't working for you. How long before you break? You can keep telling yourself, oh, it's a construct. Oh, it's a construct. Oh, it's a construct. Oh, it's coming from me. But at a certain point, when do you break? And I've seen it happen to a lot of people because you're just like, I can't handle that this is coming from me, or I can't change it. I understand it, but I can't change it. And then the whole system goes into shock. You see. And so that's where it's like, that's what I mean about treating each other with kindness. You know, how do you treat someone who's going through that? They believe in seeds, but they don't believe it in themselves because they can't in that moment. It's not because they're a bad person, because they just can't. The pain got too much. It got too much. And that's what I see happening in the world is the pain is just getting too much. And then when it gets too much, we stop thinking and we stop thinking about other people. And that's why you get people who shoot other people. I talked about it last week. The pain was too much. They couldn't handle it. It doesn't matter why the person had the pain. They have pain. And so what happens is everybody then starts blaming, oh, it's the radical left that caused the pain. Oh, no, no, no. It's the radical right that caused the pain. Well, what side was the guy on? Everybody's saying it's the other side. It's the most perfect samsaric activity. Everyone on each side is saying that the shooter was on the other side. It's funny. I mean, it's not funny at all, but it's ridiculous. It's absurd. These two camps, these two sides, are so stuck in their way of thinking that they have to say that this other person was on the enemy side to do what they did because we don't do those things. We're the good guys and you're the bad guys. Oh, over here, we're the good guys and you're the bad guys. So both good guys are saying the other guys are the bad guys. And this guy who is now, in prison, who's not talking, okay, he's staying silent. Everybody's like, they can't handle it. They're going insane. And you could try to find that both sides are saying he belongs to the other side, right? When will the truth come out? Which truth? Who gets to tell the truth? The truth is not what side he was on. The truth is that it's all wrong to begin with. That's the truth. The truth is everyone's wrong. Right? You know, so then looking at yourself, like how are you making yourself right and other people wrong? You see. So this is why the Buddha taught so many different ways of understanding emptiness. So the Buddha had three groups of teachings. right? The Buddha said, look, I'm going to, like, if you look at it from the outside, which is kind of a weird thing to do, but if you're looking from the outside, there were three perspectives that the Buddha took. And each of those perspectives had a particular purpose in mind to help us understand that most of the time we're just wrong. We're wrong. We're our thinking is wrong, but we think this is the like, how do I say this? This is the irony of the human mind. Normally, when we think a thought, we think it's true. I had this thought, therefore it's true, right? And we'll stay and we'll hold on to that truth forever, right? Even when all the evidence is contrary to that truth, right? Even our own perceptions are contradicting, our own kuntaks are contradicting the kuntaks we're holding to be the truth. Okay. And then once and if we finally realize it, the pain can be tremendous. Live your whole life recognizing that your own thought about yourself was untrue. Your actions were untrue. Your behavior that you thought was just true was based upon a lie or based upon a belief. Let's call it a belief, based upon a belief that you decided when you were 4, 2, 10, that's how you thought the world was. Your seed ripened at that time and then taught you that's how the world is unchangingly like that. And then you defined yourself that way. And then you've acted your entire life that way because that was the truth. Right. And so then, unraveling those belief systems can be painful. Then choices that you make in life. Right. It's, oh, Tim, but this is supposed to be liberating. Yeah, it is. It is liberating. But what does that mean? Right. What does that mean? Like, being unattached to this samsaric world. Like, what does that mean? When you become unattached to it and are in liberation, right? Like, that's a total different place to be. But you're stuck to it like glue. It's like, it's like Spider-Man all around you, right? Right? You're just stuck in all of these webs. And you're like, oh, well, that wasn't true. Right. And then by releasing that, then you're releasing like a whole bunch of things that maybe you thought that you loved and you do love, but you were attached to it. Right. You still can love it, but you were attached in a way, and then you're afraid to lose it, or you're afraid you're going to lose your support system, your support network, all of those things. Normal. It's all normal. You know, you thought we were going to talk about the three turnings of the wheel today. I am, right? But I'm talking about the reality of being in it, right? It's not all like cakes and bubbles and unicorns and rainbows. I mean, that's what it looks like at the end. And what end are we talking about? So The whole point of the three turnings of the wheel is that Buddha had a particular idea in mind. It's called the dripdun. It's called the what are you going to take away from this particular teaching? Okay. What is the outcome? What is the outcome of the various turnings of the wheel? And we're going to learn about what turning means in a second. But what is the outcome? What did the Buddha have? What did the Buddha want you to do? Right? When he said X, Y, and Z. When he said turning one, when he said turning two, when he said turning three, what did he want you to get? You know, like when you go to elementary school, and in elementary school, they're like, okay, now little Timmy, we're going to teach you 1 + 1 = 2. Okay, 1 + 1 is 2, right? What's that? 1 chocolate chip plus, oh, yeah, 1 chocolate chip plus 2 chocolate chips. Excuse me, 1 chocolate chip. See, this is why it's so hard. 1 chocolate chip plus 1 chocolate chip is 2 chocolate chips. Get it? I have 1, I have another, and now I have 2, and they're in my mouth, right? Okay. But why do they teach? Why? Like, why? Why do they teach you that? Like, what's the point? Right? Hey, go get me 2 chocolate chips, right? No more, no less, Chane. So, but I think there's a reason, right? And then you learn 2 times 2 is 4. Then you learn, I don't know, 2x plus 1 = 5. What does x equal? 2. 2 times 2 plus 1 is 5, right? 2x plus 1 = 5. Okay. X squared plus 2xy plus y squared equals x plus y to the second power. Okay, I'm going to run out of math very soon. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go much farther than that. Okay. We could go into some differential equations that I remember. I don't know why I'm remembering algebra right now. That was 7th grade. Okay. But there was an outcome. The teachers taught you something. Someone in 7th grade taught me something that helped me, right, for the future. I was in advanced algebra in 7th grade. Ooh, right? Whatever. But so the Buddha had a point. Like there's always a point. Why am I teaching you this? Okay. And so what is that intended outcome? What is the profit? What are you trying to get out of it? And so the idea behind all the different points of view is how do you get people to understand that their reality is due to their previous actions? How do you get people to understand that what is happening right now has nothing to do with you sitting here? It has something to do with some past thing that was done in your mind stream in this lifetime. Maybe if you believe in multiple lifetimes, probably 1 billion years ago, 1 million years ago. Okay. So like, how do you get people to understand that? Because then the next step is what are you going to look the future you for? Like, is future you going to be like, whoa, I can't believe they did such a good job now? Or is future you going to be like, God damn it, you didn't get it? Right? Right? Which future you do you want? The one that's going to be like, God damn, I have to do this again? Or the future you that's like, thank God you did something different. And that's what the Buddha is trying to get us to act. Like, look, it it seems so simple. If everyone just acted this way, what a world it would be, right? If everyone believed that, but they don't. Why do I have the kuntak of other people having kuntaks that way? Why do I have the seeds to see other people don't think about how they're caring for other people for the future? Future them, future societies, future families. Why? Why do I have that? Why do I see that? Probably because all day long I'm not paying attention to anything that I'm doing. Or I have plenty of past Tims to think about who were like, yeah, didn't think about the future. Although he thought he was thinking about the future. And that's the irony of the whole damn thing. You thought you were thinking of the future. Damn, right? You weren't thinking of how the future is a future. You were just imagining what you thought the future should be. So you're going to act in a certain way to create that in a way that didn't actually create the future that you wanted. Eka's super happy that she's not translating right now, interpreting right now. You see. So the idea is the Buddha was like, look, I'm going to give you three different ways to think about your future. Okay. At the capacity that you can understand it right now. By the way, so we're going to go through the three turnings of the wheel, what the outcome was supposed to be. And then we're going to try to understand, depending on what point of view you have, will determine what the outcome is supposed to be. Oh, so Tim, there's no fixed outcome? Yeah. It all depends on your kuntaks. So which one is right? Are we going to be the mind only people or we're going to be the middle way people? If you're the middle way people, you better not as hell criticize the mind only people because then you don't understand what the F is going on. Oh, but Tim, but Tim, the mind only point of view is not correct. For whom? I do not ever want to hear any of you criticizing the mind only school. You can debate, but look, it's if you're in a middle way point of view and you're criticizing a mind only person for being mind only, you don't understand the middle way. Yeah, Tim, but they're wrong. Are they wrong? Oh, it's not complete. I didn't say that. Are they wrong? And that's why you have to understand the outcome. What did the Buddha have in mind? Are they wrong for themselves right now? are they are they elevating their mindset? If they're trying to understand kuntaks all day long, they're just kuntaking around, right? Is that wrong? Is it wrong if someone is, oh, first turning of the wheel, everything exists by definition? What? Are they wrong? Are they thinking about cause and effect? Are they thinking about how to be better people, how to be kinder people? Come on. Like, we have to stop thinking that other people are wrong. The moment you think someone's wrong, that's why we have such stupid conflicts in the world right now. Tim, why do you have to see that? Oh, I don't know. Because as nice as you've been your entire life, you've probably been thinking about how wrong all those people are. right? Last night was the first night in my 40, almost 7 years of life sitting with my mom. And I saw her as a human, and I wasn't upset with her. I wasn't frustrated with her. I wasn't reacting to her like the child who hated being told what to do, right? It was relaxing. She gave me advices. I asked her, I had some problems. I asked her what she thought. And she didn't act like a worried mother, like, oh my God, I got to take care of you, right? Which of course everyone wants a worried mother, right? In a certain way. But, I didn't take it that way. I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, I'm not fighting with her. I wasn't hearing the words in the way I used to hear them. I used to hear them as like, these are absolute advices that you have to do because I'm your mother. And we do it this way, and it's right this way, and every other way is wrong. Right. And so then Tim is like, well, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. Don't tell me how to do things. Right. Res- Respect me. Right. Here's a 5-year-old being like, respect me. Right. I have ideas. I have thoughts. I have emotions. Like, acknowledge them. Okay, whatever. But last night was the first night, and I was like, and you know what? Her advice actually worked. You know, she was like, I'm having difficulties sleeping and staying asleep and all this other stuff. And she's like, why don't you try this thing? I just take half a dose and I sleep well. I was like, okay, I'll try it. It wasn't like you have to do it. I tried it, and it was actually a total adventure because I got to the store and I went to buy it. Then my phone died. So I couldn't pay for it because I didn't have my wallet with me. And then, you know, the charger wasn't working at the store actually had a charger, but then I had to wait 15 minutes and it only charged at 1%. So I paid for everything. And then then my phone died again. And then I didn't have a map to get home because I have no idea where the hell I am. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I could be like, Mom, why did you make me do this? Right. Or I just enjoyed it. I just laughed at it. It was kind of funny, right? I read I read newspapers while waiting. But you see, like, what is the outcome of that interaction with your mother? That's the point. It's not about the interaction with your mother, but like, what's the point of the interaction? Can you see it in a different way? All right. So the first turning of the wheel, you know, okay, so we're going to talk about this in one way today, and then on Thursday we're going to talk about it differently. So, get it? There's no right or wrong way to do that. Right. And I just saw Z's message in the chat. Like, sometimes you just need a different turning to get them to the next step. Right. So turning number one primarily happened in the early part of Lord Buddha's teaching, right? In the beginning. He comes out of becoming totally enlightened, and you're going to learn in Diamond Way that he didn't get enlightened under the Bodhi tree. No, he did not. In Tantra, he did not, but in Sutra, he did. Which one is true? In Diamond Way, he got enlightened with his partner at sunrise. Thank you very much. Probably under a tree, but not the way, but that's not, and so, like, from the Diamond Way point of view, the Buddha came back to show us the path. The Buddha was already enlightened. The example of Maitreya, right? I just heard that Maitreya is closer than we think. If you were there for the teaching, you would have heard it. And you probably heard where Maitreya is going to be next, right? Why do you have to hear that? Right? Is Maitreya a future Buddha, or is Maitreya already a Buddha? And then it comes back as the future Buddha to show us how to become a Buddha. So the Buddha gets enlightened, comes out from under the tree, is like, look, no one's going to understand this. And then his students are like, oh, Buddha, you have to teach us. How the fuck did the students know he was enlightened if he hadn't said anything yet? Plot twist. Anyway, the Buddhists, they're like, oh, I'm in a mood today. Everyone's like, Buddha, you need to teach, you need to teach, you need to teach. Okay. And he's like, all right, I'll teach you guys something. And he teaches first the first turning of the wheel, mainly called the Denshi Chunkor, the turning on the four truths. Okay. Sorry, Trent. Thank you for letting me know, Roxana. I know I'm excited. The four truths, the turning of the four truths. And he did it in a place called Sarnath. It's near Varanasi. Varanasi. Okay. Who did he teach to? He taught, and for whom? Okay, the question is for whom, right? Disciples of the lower way. Okay. Well, we're going to talk about what that means in a second. Right. And we know this. He taught it. So he taught the four Arya truths. He taught the five heaps. He taught the 12 doors of sets. He taught the 18 categories. He taught the 6 elements, right? Taught all the things. Okay. You should have been in mixed nuts on Monday, because we talked about why the 18 categories are the 18 categories and why the 12 are 18 minus 6. Right? Go watch Stanley's class if you want to know more. According to the Mind Only School. Your brains are gonna fall off at some point. Don't worry, it comes back together. Everything needs to fall apart before it comes back together. I promise. It gets better. So the outcome of the first turning of the wheel is everything exists by definition. Okay. Bless you, Emily. So that's the point of the first turning. Everything exists by definition. All right. To the disciples of the lower way, don't think for 1 second that you don't have a mindset that lives in the lower way. Maybe not always, but don't think that you're excluded. It's the lower way. I'm just so much better. I'm so much better than that. Yeah, shut up. There are things that you think exist by definition. Just suck it up and just say proudly, I'm lower way. I'm still learning. Some things exist by definition. If you have any kinds of emotions that are negative, they are existing by definition, period. Even if just for a second, then you catch it and then you do your things and you switch the mindset. All right, that's the first turning. Second turning of the wheel, primarily from the middle part of his life. We're going to learn that this isn't true at all, but just go along with the story for right now. It's a good story. All right. In the middle part of his life, Buddha was like, nothing exists by definition. Senimepa chunkur. All right. And this is where he taught on Vulture's Peak. Jagu Pongpoi Ri. I did the Tibetan the other day to name my house Peacock's Peak in Tibetan. All right. So I'm going to put a little sign outside my house. It used to be called the Healing Grounds. There's a little sign there. But now we're calling it Peacock's Peak. It's all your fault. So on Vulture's Peak, Lord Buddha taught to those of the higher way. And he said, look, nothing exists by definition. Nothing. And he was talking about emptiness. All right. So in the first turning of the wheel, in the early part of his teaching career, he was like, everything exists by definition, guys. And then he was like, well, he got off on Vulture's Peak and he was like, just kidding. Puts on different clothes and he's like, just kidding. What I really meant to say was nothing exists by definition. All right. And those are for the disciples of the higher way. Okay. There's two ways in Tibetan, Tracy, to say peacock. One is like, how's that going? I looked it up. One is just like Maja, right? Exactly. But there's another one it's called Jinnun, basically one who has the blue throat. So either way. By the way, Roxana, you spelled it incorrectly. It's Ra instead of a Sa. It's Maja. Hehe. Probably a typo, right? Because you're translating right now. Interpret her finger slipped. I know, I understand. But yeah, so he's up there being like, just kidding. Uh Jen, I think it's Maja. I'm gonna have to look it up later. I looked it up. Actually, I still have it here. Previous. There you go. Okay. One with the blue neck. Okay, so which one sounds better? Jinnun Pongpoiri or Maja Pongpoiri? I don't know. You guys can decide. Should it be the one with the blue neck or the bird of say ma means it's kind of like ma generally means like a kind of like a scar or something like wounded, like can talk like to be injured, right? But the other thing, the idea that peacock takes the bad and turns it into the good, right? So that's why it's the bird of Maja. Anyway, we can talk about it later. So then the third turning of the wheel is like this. The Bodhisattva shows up and he's like, hey, Buddha, I got a question for you. You know, what did you really mean when you said nothing exists by definition? Oh, before you said this and now you said this. And those seem contradictory. What did you really mean? And so then the Buddha says, oh, you're so right. You're so smart. Get it? The Bodhisattva came up to the Buddha and said, look, you contradicted yourself. Seems like you contradicted yourself. You seem like a smart guy, but I don't understand. Here you said nothing exists by definition. And over here you said some things exist by definition or everything exists by definition. What did you really mean? I don't understand. And then the Buddha is like, you're so smart. I can't believe I have a student like you. You really understand what's going on, right? And then the Buddha proceeds to say, look, what I really meant was some things exist by definition, some do not. And we have to make distinctions between them. And so I'm going to teach you about the three attributes, senisum, the kuntaks, the shenmongs, and the yondrums. Some of those things exist by definition, and some of them don't. And so the turning of this wheel is like the turning of the wheel on fine distinctions, and was taught in Vaishali. And this was taught to all students of all the ways, the lower and the upper way, the greater way. Okay. So the Buddha says, you are so smart. You've listened to all of my teachings and you saw the trick. You get it. What I really meant was the three attributes. I can't believe you figured it out. If the third turning of the wheel is not accurate, why did the Buddha say that? You should be thinking about this in terms of your own teacher right now. You should be asking yourself the question, if my teacher said to me, wow, you're so smart, you really understand that, you get that, that's what it meant, should you believe what your teacher said literally? Right? Are like, you have to understand that yes, it's true that you are really smart because you understood something. And the teacher was like, yes, okay, we're going to the next step. You ready? You are ready. But does it mean that the next step is the final step? Because I can do a polynomial, is that what they're called? Polynomials? Is that what they're called? X plus y squared is x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. Is that called polynomials? Is that what the hell it's called? I can't remember. Yes. See, what the hell? Like, weird words come out of my head, right? Because I could do that in seventh grade, does that mean that that's the ultimate math? I took the test. I got 100%. I was really smart. Just logic. Okay, but was that ultimate math? Oh no, then you get the calculus, right? Then you get the differential equations, right? Then you're like, well, we what? Math got so hard that I quit because I was like, I don't understand this shit anymore. Math got too hard. It got right. So, but what's the ultimate math? What's the ultimate teaching? And if your teacher told you something was true, was it true? Were you smart enough to get to the next level? Yes. Should you celebrate? Yes. Should you take it to be true? No. Okay. Because the mind only school will say the Buddha taught me literally about the three attributes. And so when he was talking about the three attributes, that was what was true. And the first and second turning of the wheels, those were just like, those were the stepping stones. You had to go from extreme number one, everything exists by definition, to extreme number two, where nothing exists by definition, to get to the middle way, because mind only school is middle way, greater way, excuse me. Right? So the mind only people will say, yeah, he was being literal in the third turning of the wheel, while the other two were just figurative. The middle way people will be like, oh, you're so cute. You thought that was literal. Oh, right? And then the middle way people will say, well, actually, the second turning was the literal turning. And then the first and third were the figurative ones. Okay. Who's correct? Right. We know we've been saying who's correct, but you have to be, and I'm going to go, that's why I spent so much time in the beginning on this. You have to be so careful about what you say is correct and incorrect. You have to be so careful about what you say is right and wrong. And if you're not careful, then you don't understand what's right and what's wrong. What's and the evaluation really is more about like what's helpful, what is helpful for people, what helps them. My early Buddhist training before I came to this lineage, we didn't talk about emptiness at all. We were just meditating on our breath and we were being kind to people. We were letting things go like clouds going through the sky. I was just breathing with every step, being present, right? And was that wrong? It's hard for me to say that was wrong because it helped a lot. Did I start having questions in that system that weren't being answered by it directly? Well, yeah. But would I ever, never, would I say don't go to those practices? Absolutely not. Some people should go. I had to go, right? If I had to go, if I had to go to the special class too, don't you think everybody needs to go to the special class? And I'm not saying that I'm awesome, but seriously, I went to the special class. I went to level one, right? Am I going to judge it and look down on it? Absolutely not. I sometimes send advanced students to level one classes. Think about it, right? They help. They're incredibly helpful, right? So, in some ways, your mindset about it has to shift. Everything in dependence has a purpose. You can't exclude some things and include other things. Everything is coming from seeds. So therefore, everything is important. That's why in Diamond Way we have a commitment not to criticize other traditions. I go to as much I try to go to all different traditions just to see what people are doing and see the kindness and compassion that they're trying to teach. Like I'm going to a church called St. Timothy's in an hour for a funeral, right? And my godmother is like, she's telling me how great the church is. She's like, they're just doing kindness for people. They don't make a big deal. They're just helping people. They're not preaching about how awesome they are. They're just doing the good work, right? And I'm like, that's a cool place. I can't wait to go. I mean, I don't want to go for a funeral, but you know, it sounds like a great place to be. It sounds like a great community. The priest came to the viewing last night. Like good people. Do they teach emptiness there? If you're listening, they do. And that's called Diamond Way. So this is just for your homework, just so you know. Like, why did Paramanta Samugata say that the first two turnings of the wheel are figurative? All right, why did he say it? He said because, and this is these are the arguments, and you have to think about it, because he believes there's something higher than the first and second turning, that they're open to they have an opening to debate, that they leave an opening for truth. They need to be interpreted more, and they serve as a basis for a debate. Okay, that's what he believes. That's what the second turning of the wheel believes too about the third turning. There's something higher. They leave an opening. They need to be interpreted further, right? And they serve as a basis for debate. So which one is it? They both have the same point of view about each other. Why did I start talking earlier about the two sides of the argument, the radical left and the radical right? Because they say the same thing. Take out the content and they say the same thing. Structurally, they're identical. So who's right? You're going to say, well, Tim, there is one side that's right. Well, it's the second turning. Okay. But is it right from its own side? And if you can't get that, you will constantly be in battle with you will be battle between the radical right and the radical left. You will be constantly battling two wrong choices, because there is no right choice from its own side. There never was, and there never will be. And how many middle way people believe that they're right from their own side? Too many. And that's why you still see a world out there that is in conflict. Your own Buddhism is in conflict with itself. Dun, da, da, da. Okay. Your own Buddhism is in conflict. Your own mind is in conflict with itself. And we're working to unconflictivize it. Interpreters, I don't know if that's a word you can do in your language. Good luck. Unconflictivize it. You know, that's why we're teaching it. Okay. And that's why it's ACI 15, and that's not why it's ACI 1. ACI 1 talks about the three principal paths. The three principal paths that come from their own side, right? You all laugh now, but you're gonna go out of class and you're just gonna, that's what we do. And that's why we come to lots of classes. Okay. So what's the real criteria that decides whether someone belongs to the lower way or the higher way? And it has to do with your views on emptiness. Right. The lower way is the Abhidharma and Sutra school. The higher way is mind only and middle way. And within those schools have various levels. And you need to learn that. Why? Because you need to know what's going on in your own mind. Your mind is Abhidharma. Your mind is Sutrist. Your mind is mind only. And very rarely, your mind is lower middle way. And even rarer, your mind is higher middle way. Okay. What's going on today, friend? I don't know. Have a talk with your inner child. Like, what school are you in, buddy? I'm not even in a school. I'm just having an emotional reaction and whining and crying about how I wasn't loved the way I wanted to be loved when I was 4 years old. All right, buddy. Yeah, I got you. I'll give you a hug. And I'm not making a joke. I'm saying it in a way that's joking, but I'm not making a joke. You are that. And you have to love it. The only way to move through it is to love it, is to give yourself love. When it's the worst, you have to love yourself and be okay with it. Because if you can't, then you can't move through it. And good God, love other people who are going through it too. They can't help themselves. I mean, look, if you could shut up that 4-year-old inner child, you would have years ago. Okay. Can't shut it up. It doesn't work that way. Or shut it out. But understanding where all those levels fall, where all those ideas are, that view, that the view that you have in any given moment, that's what can help you move, shake it up a little bit. Identify, like if you can identify what's going on, it can release it. Doesn't it feel better when you finally have that conversation with somebody? When you finally said your truth, right? Or you finally just, if you label something what it is, it takes away its power. Get out of your reptilian brain and move into your prefrontal cortex. That's what the psychologist will say, right? Fine, it works. Labeling it, understanding that then it takes away its power, because then it doesn't have power over you anymore in the way that it did before. It just was an experience. But you need to label it correctly. See. All right, I'm gonna do my announcement now, and then if we have time afterwards, I'll finish up the next segment. If not, we'll do the next segment on Thursday. Because there's a whole segment on what does it mean to turn the wheel of the Dharma, and how does the Dharma last in this world? How does it stay in this world, right? And what does turning the wheel really mean? And how is it important for you? What does it mean for you to turn the wheel? And that's why this announcement is perfect. And okay, because turning the wheel of the Dharma is about you having the realizations in your own mind so that you can trigger it in somebody else. It passes down from person to person. So how do you ensure that you have this? All right. Timestamp this, and you're going to cut this out, Anastasia, because you'll probably use this video for other things. Okay. So it would be really, really lovely if everyone who can is to turn on your cameras now. Like I would love to see your faces. Well, we're not teaching. We're just saying hello, you know. And I don't care if you're in a car or if you're, just don't, if you're in the bathroom, turn it on after you're done. But, for the most part, I just want to see all your faces. Thank you. All right, this is cool. Now, there we go. All right. Okay. So, I want to have a short discussion about like where are we going with all of these things, right? Like what's the future of all of these teachings? What's the future of this? Right? And many of you know that, it doesn't just stop with the 15 courses, right? Yes, there's a review, of course, and we're going to talk about how we're going to do the review course in this moment. And we're going to do it differently. But where it's going is It's going into Diamond Way. It's moving into the advanced 18 courses, right? And there's lots of talk about this. It's getting, there's some weird movement that's happening within our organization where, you know, it seems like all the groups are moving towards being in Diamond Way. Geshe is going to teach a version of it through ACI. He's teaching it with, he has a private group out of, executives out of China that he's been teaching for 8 years. He just somehow committed. I don't know how he's going to do this, but he wants to teach the courses again at Dragonhead. I don't know what's going on. Okay. And apparently we're getting there too. All right. I wonder why we have to see this. Right. I wonder why I have to see this. Why is why is everyone teaching it? Sweet. Right. So, you know, there's a special kind of thing they call it yoga, like yogaing, yoking. That's the original idea for the word yoga. Like you yoke yourself in Diamond Way and commit yourself to say, look, I want to do this for I'm tired of it being slow. That's really what you're saying. I don't know how to change these things. Like it seems too slow. Eons, what is it, 10 to the 60th eons of time in sutra to maybe get enlightened, right? Or the Buddha came and taught in a different set of clothing and said, or we could do it faster. It was like, it wasn't the bodhisattva. It was like the business guy. It's like, look, Buddha, your practices are amazing. I just don't have time. I'm taking care of the world. I got families. I got jobs. You know, I got all of these things. I need to find a fast way of doing this. Is there something faster than that? And the Buddha was like, yeah, you know what? I was just kidding in the first and second and third turning of the wheel. Just not exactly accurate. He's like, there is another way. Then he took the form of Buddha Vajradhara and taught the Diamond Way. And then there's this, we have not really highlighted this or spent a lot of time on it because I think the pressure that some people get of this idea that I need to have a teacher, I need a teacher, I need the one and only. Like some groups highlight it so much that it creates anxiety and fear and, oh my God, I'm never going to reach a total enlightenment if I don't have a teacher. you know, yes, true, not really, kind of. Okay. But there's a special relationship that gets established between a teacher and a student. You know, and your heart teacher could be just about anybody. Like the definition of the Sawe Lama really is the person who's changed your life the most, changed your mind, changed your heart, made you a better person. And so moving in the Diamond Way is in some way related to that, but it doesn't have to be that. Like in the sense of your heart teacher is your personal teacher. But then there could be someone who will take you into Diamond Way, someone who will be like, yeah, I will commit to take care of you through that process as best as I can. Right. So there's a kind of, you know, connection, yoga-ing between a teacher and a student. It's not to be taken lightly from both directions. Okay. People say to me, oh, you're my teacher. I'm like, great. Now I'll check out to see if you're my student. Okay. I can be, it's both way, it's a two-way street, right? Can you do we have a relationship? Can we work together? Right? Are you actually a student? Are you not a student? Right? And so, and I'm having this conversation not because, um, I'm just teaching these classes. And just because you come to these classes doesn't mean that you're my student or that I'm your like heart teacher. Like that's not doesn't have to be that way. You can come to any class you want. In fact, I encourage you to go to lots of different teachers. And if you have a feeling that you want to go to Diamond Way, you know, I need to I don't know most of you. I see pictures of you. This is why I'm always saying turn on your damn cameras. Okay. Because I have no idea who you are. I don't know your faces. I don't know what's going on back there. Like I don't have the power to reach through the Zoom and be like, who's that Claudia? Like she looks like she's studying. She looks like she's engaged. I don't know. Like I don't know. It's you know, I met someone this weekend. I was like for the first time, and I was like, oh, I thought you were shorter than that. The person's like super tall, like 185 centimeters. I'm like, oh shit, right? Like that's, so I want to get to know you, you know. And so if you have an inkling for Diamond Way, and I don't have to be that person, I'm just leading you through the sutra classes. I don't have to be that person. Um, we're going to be doing the 18 courses, or excuse me, the review courses 16, 17, and 18 very differently than we have in the past because I don't know you. And this is weird because historically, only these classes have only been taught in person, right? And we have the beautiful karma of being able to be together from all around the world. You're in all different countries, you speak all different languages, and many of you listen to the classes through interpretation. You're not even listening to my voice. You may not even know what my voice is. Some of you are listening to Yuki, who's Chinese, you know, speaking, she's a female voice. Natalia has a female voice, right? I think all the interpreters today are females, I think, right? So that's weird. No, Khoi's in Vietnamese. Okay, fine. But you're all listening in a different language. You're not even listening to me. You're listening to them, right? So I need to get to know you. And I have not been that teacher who's been like, you have to do all the homeworks and quizzes and exams before coming to class. Right? I'm not, but it's important that you have the foundation. So here's what we're going to do, everybody. I know some of you have done the courses, some of you have not done the courses, some have done some have done a little, or none at all. And you can just know in your own mind whether you're none at all. But if you want to move in to the faster way, the difficult way, the challenging way, the beautiful way, the magical way, here's what we're going to do. So we're going to teach the 18 courses, we're going to teach the review 16, 17, and 18 over 18 months, 15 months. Okay. And what I'm going to do is, so in the review, so every ACI course 1 through 15 has 2 classes of review. And they become course 16, 17, and 18. So what we're going to do is we're going to, in month 1, starting in November, I'm going to teach ACI 1, the 2 review classes, probably in the same day. Okay. And then throughout the rest of the month, those of you who are maybe are budding teachers or who have done the course or want to try, is I'd like to set up review groups, study groups, that throughout the rest of the month, you'll meet together and go over all the homeworks, all the quizzes, and the exam. So you have an entire month. Just copy the answer key if you don't know. Then take the answer key to your quiz and then take it to the final exam. I don't care. But I want you to learn it, right? So within 1 month, you will then finish ACI 1. Month 2, December, I will teach ACI 2 review classes. And then the rest of the month, you will do the reviews together. You don't know, don't copy them, but let me tell you something. I just want you to learn them, whatever your learning style is. Okay. And if you've already done the courses, do the review because you need to do it again. You need to do them again. Get the foundation. Um, and also during that time period, if you are considering Diamond Way with yours truly, I would like to schedule time with you, even if we need an interpreter, to say, hi, who are you? I want to know you. I want to get to know you because I can't teach you if I don't know you. Right. And got to get the feeling. Right. And then during that time period, I'm also going to be several times throughout the year traveling to various locations to have retreats. So so then you all can come and we can meet in person. You know, we're going to try to make it inexpensive so you can actually come to some classes. We can learn together. I can meet you in person. But the whole point of all of this is not just me, it's about meeting everybody else. Who are those people that you're going to study with? Who are your friends? Who are going to be your Diamond Way brothers and sisters? Okay, so we're going to put the schedule together as soon as Geshe's schedule comes out. And then we're going to start putting together some retreats, several times throughout the year. So the idea is if you haven't done the 18 courses, you've got 15 months to get them done. Okay. We're going to need group leaders. And it's okay, Janet, right? If you answer the question wrong, who cares? Right? You're learning, right? But the idea is that over those 15 months, you review all the courses, you get them done, you get your certificates. Okay. And at the end of course 18, what we're going to do is we're going to have a big event together. We're going to do what we call a Maroc, where you have to prove that you've done the 18 courses. Everyone gets an opportunity to present to each other. And then we'll do that. We'll celebrate. We'll have cakes and, it's not hard. And then we'll start Daylon together. We'll do the Diamond Way course 1 together. And through that time, that's for you to decide like who your teacher is, planting the seeds by helping each other. You will plant the seeds for your particular teacher. Oh, Tim, what if I decide that you're not my teacher? Great. I'm happy that you find the person that's suited for you. Right. In my case, I've developed a relationship with another teacher who was not my heart teacher, who is my tantric teacher, who guides me day to day in my practice. They are not my heart teacher, although strangely, the way the karma works out is I see my heart teacher in them. Right. And I can teach you how to do those things if you would like. I'm not saying I'm your teacher. I'm not saying I have to be your teacher. I want you to find the person or persons who are your particular glove. Who are the ones you want to learn from? Who touches your heart? Who changes you? Who accelerates your growth? Like, I'm just teaching ACI courses, right? But if you feel that, and I think it's important we have the conversation, right? So this is going to require a lot of planning. It's going to require a lot of coordination, right? And Anastasia Mansurova has graciously accepted the annoying role and difficult role of managing all of this. And guess what? I don't want to be part of it. I just want to teach. I want to be the teacher. I don't want to know about the drama. I don't want to know about you guys deal with it yourself. You learn how to deal with the drama yourself. And it always happens in every group. So just be ready for it. Enjoy it. Love it. Kuntak it and move on. Okay. And it's going to be beautiful. And the seeds of setting this up for you and for others is extraordinary. and you won't have any idea what that means until you see the results. So Anastasia, we're going to spotlight you. Hello. Wave everybody. She is organizing everything. So if you're interested in helping, if you're interested in scheduling, if you're interested in leading review groups, my hope, my wish is that we can have review groups in your own languages. So you all can get to know each other, to work with each other. My hope is that you'll get to be friends with each other, Dharma friends. You don't have to be besties with them, but they will become your BFFs. Okay, they will be the people who will be guiding you and supporting you. Some of my best friends are in my Diamond Way group. Right? You don't have to love everybody. Eventually you do, but just some. You start with some. Right? And you might, and then this course will also be open. We're going to make this course open for everybody, right? So people who want to finish the 18 courses and do the 16, 17, and 18 in this way, it'll be open for everybody. I may or may not be their teacher, right? But that's okay. So we're going to be expanding this to everybody else. So let me just review quickly. We're doing 16, 17, and 18 over 15 months, one course per month. I will teach once a month, and then you all do reviews, get your certificates done. We'll have big celebration parties, and then we'll move on to the next course. 2, it's open for everybody. 3, if you have the intention of doing Diamond Way with me, there's going to, I would like your intention to be known, right? I would like to know, yes, I think I want to study with you. Okay, great. And then we'll use that time to get to know each other, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. If, there's 65 people here. Sometimes we have 120 people. I have no idea how this one person's going to do it. So we'll cross that bridge when it comes, but that's the point of having each other. How do you support each other? Right. Yes, Uta, yes, that's it. Like, you're actually asking for it and I'm giving you the opportunity for it. But it's not just, I need to know you, because if I'm making that commitment, I need to know what commitment I'm making. Right. And I just want to prepare you that maybe the first time around, we might have to wait for the next time. Okay. But that's why we're doing the review together. So we don't have to wait for the next time, because you need to have the foundations to be able to move into it. Because if you don't have it, I won't make that commitment. And the foundation doesn't mean doing the homeworks. It's part of it, but the foundation means, have you integrated? Get out of your mind that Tantra is not the homework. Tantra is not the teachings. The wheel of the Dharma is in you. It's in your realizations. That's the point. That's how you are. The words are just words. The words are empty. There's no Tantra that's in the sadhana. There's no sutra. There's no sutra in any of the Buddhist teaching from its own side, and you have to understand that. Okay, I need to go to this family event. Thanks for your time here. Please reach out to Anastasia if you want to help. The karma of doing this is tremendous. And you don't have to help, but as part of your Diamond Way practice, we will be setting up service projects. You will have a project anyway, so you can't get out of doing service, and I will force you to do it with giggles and laughs and unicorns and rainbows. All right. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining. Please reach out to Anastasia. And yep, say goodbye to each other, and we'll see you on Monday. Just a reminder, we're not having Lamrim class today, so you're free. All right, say goodbye to each other. And I love you guys.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, team
Thank you so
Love.
You so
much.
much.
Bye. Thank you. Adios.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Gracias.
Gracias, Laura.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Tschüss. Und danke. Mua.
I'll reach you and I'll text you, Anastasia.
Yes, please. Anybody who wants to participate, let's
Yeah.
move it forward. Thank
Let's
you so
rock.
much. Let's rock! Yeah. It's gonna be fun. Thank you.
Thank you.